Can you hear me? Hello? You, yeah, it's all good.
Check.
So hi everyone, so we're gonna keep going with the French Electronic Lab, and we have today 4 artistic directors of French clubs and festivals. So we have Brice Couder from Concrète dehors brut. We have Mathieu Fonzi from Marché Festival, Joran Lecor from Panorama Festival, et Baptiste Pinsard from Le Sucre et Nuit Sonore. So we're going to start by a little tour. Just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about your job.
So you already told it. I'm Brice Couder. I'm one of the founder and more precisely artistic director of Concrete, dehors brut, Weather Festival, or série. I'm taking care also of the label Concrete Music. I have my own label, La Vibe, and I think that's all.
Okay.
Yeah, the same, you say everything. So I manage the artistic part of the company Artifarty in Lyon, which is the company which takes care of Le Sucre and Nuit Sonore around the world. And so I think it's, you know.
Okay. My name is Joran, and I organize a festival called Panorama. And I also the artistic director of Artist Agency, and we organize the booking for in France for Jeanne Haddad, Boris Brejcha, Acid Arab, and 70 different DJs and bands.
And I'm Mathieu. I'm not French, but I'm Belgian, and so I'm doing all the lineup for Mars Attack and Dour, which is another festival in Belgium, and other smaller events.
All right, thank you. So we know that France has a long history with electronic music. It started in the 40s and 50s with musique concrète, and it ends with concrete now. But in the past 10 or 5 years, there have been a new cultural and especially an economic development around electronic music. Maybe we can start with you, because Concrete was one of the big examples of a new club that had an image not only in France but also across borders. So tell us a little bit about how you saw this evolution. Is it an evolution led by the sound, the artist, or is it also a big economical evolution?
I think it was like a full phenomenon 8 years ago. I think there was already this big hype from Berlin. We were not that big in the years 2000, and in 2010, with internet and everything, people and with the low-cost companies, people start to go in Berlin, start to talk a lot about Bergen and all that cultures, and Concrete arrived at that moment. And there was I think in Paris there was a lot of people waiting for things to happen, and the offer was not really big. Every weekend you had like 2 or 3 interesting parties. Today it's like 20 parties every weekend, and so I was going in Berlin very, very often, and I was. And every time I saw there are a lot of people from Paris who were traveling, so I just guessed that people were waiting for something like this in Paris.
Right, and from the perspective of Nuit Sonore, I'm actually from Lyon, so I've been going to Nuit Sonore, and I saw it develop as from a little festival that was inside the city to the massive festival it is now. But how did you see that evolution recently?
I think we are not a massive festival, we are a big festival, but I think a resident advisor said 2 or 3 years ago that Nuit Sonore is a big festival, but done with only little party. And it's mainly that, since the beginning. I think 18 years ago, the project of Nuit Sonore was to start a festival done for electronic and indie music. That was really the basement, the DNA, but also an urban festival, and that was, I think, the most revolutionary part. It was in opposition with the first generation of festival, which was the Woodstock generation at some point, and the idea for those guys, because I was not there, I was 8 years old, something like that. The idea of the founder of the festival was, okay, we are urban people, we live in the city, so we need a festival in the city where we live. So they started, and now, yeah, we are quite big. We welcome something like more than 100 parties for the festival during 6 days. It's 2 main events, a day event with 3 stages for 6,000 people and a night event for 11,000 people during 5 days. But it's also, I don't know, 70 parties around the city, co-build and co-think and co-organized with local activists or international activists of the scene, label, collective, etc. And I come from disco, Oriental disco party in a hammam to a big open air in the main iconic place of the city. So, yeah, to come back to the topic, all the festivals are going up. I can't really say it because I don't feel it, but yes, each year we start a new project. You start a new ideas, we start to sell tickets for new projects. And we don't try to sell more tickets for the same venue. I mean, we sell, it's the same capacity for the night venue since 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. But yeah, by example, next year we work on a new project in another place with a different ticket price, with a different artistic proposition, and it's all we're growing up.
Okay, if we can continue with you, the latest evolution at Panorama Festival, what did you see, and is there an evolution in the club and festival scene those past few years?
I think our evolution is like Nuit Sonore. We created the festival 22 years ago and the agency for the bookings, and now we are going to create a new venue, in fact in Morlaix, in an old factory in the town center near in Morlaix. And we work on this project since 10 years, and it will be, we open the new venue, in April for the next Panorama Festival. And for us, it's we develop our project like that. The festival, the agency, and now it's very important for us to have our own venue.
So it's going to be a year long, open all year, or is just during the festival?
No, all year with 3 screens of cinema, with a restaurant, with a place for 1,000 people, and it's a new project. And for us, it's very important to be in the city, like you with Le Sucre for Nuit Sonore. For you have a weather, but you have a concrete, and for us, it's important to have our venue in the city where we live.
Okay, and for you, Mars Attacks is also in the city of Marseille.
Yeah, I think when they started 20 years ago, it was they wanted to do. They identified an audience they wanted to target, which is a mix of hip hop and electronic music. And since that, they try to build a DNA, which is includes because Marseille is a particular city, and so you really have to take care of the mixity of the people you have there, and also the locals. So, as Baptiste said, you have to include all the collective, all the crews, all the small guys who are all year long making the things every week, and not just 2 days a year. And okay, we are just happening now. No, it's a year of work and of, I mean, talks and speaking with people and trying to get new ideas, fresh crews. And yeah, that makes a DNA of the festival, which is identified from the place where you are with the audience you want to target. And if you keep that in mind and you only focus on that, it's naturally it's an evolution, a natural evolution, I think.
Okay. If we can start again with you, Brice. The panel we had just before was the particularity of the French market is the relationship the different cultural actors have with the public institution. So in your work, what would you say and what do you observe that are the key differences of the club and festival scene in France compared to the rest of Europe or rest of the world?
Well,
is your work different, do you think, from a club that's in London or in Berlin?
I don't think it's so different between all the countries. It's the same activity, and we are working quite the same. The music is a bit globalized now with YouTube, and everybody is listening the same things approximately. So no.
You don't think there is a French sound?
At the moment, we have a nice bunch of artists creating a sound that don't sound French, but sound maybe particular. But I think it's so rich. I don't think so.
So what's, for example, in your programmation, the amount of French artists compared to international? The amount of international artists compared to the amount of French artists you will have in your club or festival?
I always put a big focus on French artists. It's always like half of the programmation, approximately, is dedicated to French artists, and it's one of the bases of Concrete, one of the bases of Weather Festival also. And at the beginning, it was difficult because the amount of artists in France was not that big. But now, 8 years after, there is all a new generation of artists, of people who have now 18, 19, 20 years old, who discovered techno like 3 or 4 years ago. We are now producing good music, and they are filling the comment dire, réservoir, the reservoir, the reserve. The stock. It's a really ugly word, but the stock of artists. And now it's really more easy now to book local artists. Yeah.
Did you observe the same kind of stuff? What's your stock like?
Observing the same kind of stuff, absolutely. Working in the same way, not. The fact is, I think I try to work without statistics. I hate it. I care about a lot of topics. I care about gender. I care about diversity. I care about a lot of things, but I try to be out of statistics. The only thing I try to focus on is the local scene. When I think local scene, it's also the region around Lyon, not only Lyon. That can be Grenoble, that can be Clermont-Ferrand. But for me, by example, an artist from Paris is an international artist at the same title than an artist from Berlin. And I don't want to consider that. I think it's hard, and I respect a lot the work done with Concrete for the French scene. It's something we have to do, but it's not what we do. We are not an actor of that. It's like that. And I prefer being into a few slots for French artist, but giving him a really good slot, like a closing, or trying to have him for a special B2B with bigger artists than him, etc. Trying to develop on that way, but definitely we are not a starter of career as you can be. So,
the same goes for
me. I try to have female artists every year, and sometimes it's not difficult, but we have to. For us, it's very important to put female artists on the lineup of the festival. And it's not the case sometimes when you take a poster of a festival, and if you take off all the male artists, and you have sometimes only 2 female artists, and for us it's important to have something like 30% of the programmation with women.
How do you do it, and is it easier now?
It's not easy, really, no, because when you have
it depends in the genre. For example, at Dour, we have 7 stages, so we have a dub corner. Really difficult to find girls in reggae or dub. Of course, there's Kofi and new Jamaican girls, but also in metal music or hard rock and stuff, it's difficult. So the thing of genre, it's a bit tricky because you have to take in consideration a lot of factors. And it's not that, okay, you don't have a 50-50 lineup or anything. It's more than that. Regarding the locals and more especially the French for Mars Attack, I think for us we have to take in considerations the local scene is more important than the French. because Marseille is that particularity of city that everybody is behind the football team, everybody is behind all the artists, everybody. So it's really local. So it's really, we can be blamed not to put really Marseille guys on the lineup. And I think we don't have that much slots to put a lot, so we have to be really picky and to choose the right one, a bit like Nuit Sonore, as you said. I really want to have a club like Concrete to follow guys and to see people really growing and to put them as a warm up and then a bit later and then maybe closing and then after that have all night long or anything. But in festival of 2 days with only 15 bands per day, it's quite difficult. So we have to find the right local, French artists we want to support, and we have to mix electronic and hip hop as well. So it's we think we have a role to play in the career of the people, but it's difficult to push a lot from my opinion at Mars Attack.
Okay. Lately, what happened also in the French market is we saw more and more warehouse parties happening, especially in Paris, but everywhere in France. You work for Clubs&Festivals. What was your answer and creative answer to these new formats that may have the freedom on one side, but also think they don't have? What do you bring to the table, and how do you work with that?
I think the warehouse thing was more reject from the old club model, with a club in a basement like a discotheque. But we never did concrete like a real club. It was a warehouse at the end. It was a warehouse on the water, and the Orbit is also like is not a real club. So that's the way we make us different than a real club to be on the same level than a warehouse party.
And how do you compete in more general with your competitors to find this programming that is unique? And is the audience also looking for this very local artists to be more in touch with their local artists?
We are not competing with anyone. We are doing our thing. I'm programming the music I find the more interesting, and I don't have a strategy. I'm not looking for other promoters in Paris to see what they do, and I'm trying to be different. I'm just doing what I think is interesting. I'm doing the same than other promoters in one style. In another style, I'm doing the same than another one. I'm doing something maybe complete. That's why it's working, I think.
Okay.
I don't know, because we ran a festival since 20 years. It's warehouse party. So I don't think it's the topic. It's the roots of this music. Ask Manuel Malin or those guys where they start playing in Paris. Warehouse, not club. That was discotheque. That was not club. So I think we always have, since the beginning of electronic music, there are illegal warehouse party in France. And it's not new. There are no stop. It's like that. Since few years, all the media start talking about it, and I think the crowd going there is different. We have a more out of the community crowd going to those parties. It's more popular. It's more like, okay, general, and maybe that's the difference. But for me, there are no revolutions. There are no conflicts. It's two different things, and of course, it's not about the wall. It's about the spirit you put in your club. And at Le Suc, by example, we keep something of the warehouse. It's not a warehouse. It's a club on top of a warehouse, of course. But by example, we was the first club in Lyon who haven't say you need the dress code to come. You can't come anyway. We will check if you are drunk or too drunk for coming, but you can come with your as you want anyway. So it's more about the spirit you will bring in your club, and for me it's not a topic, because we still have warehouse party in Lyon. I go myself to illegal warehouse party in Lyon, and at the end I go also to my club, of course. I have the same artist playing in each side, so yeah, For me, it's not a topic.
I think there is, for me, 3 reasons of that. First is that people want to change. They are used to go to clubs. They just want something else. So there's a boat thing or a factory thing was doing. It's just a change, and it's running like this. Second thing is maybe people want, when they go out, want to escape from the week, from the things. When they arrive in a club with a big bouncer, with 1 hour queue, they just want to be in the dark with maybe no phones, like it's done in Berlin, and just to be wasted, and they want to be wasted, and go high if they want to go high. That's the second reason for me, and the third reason is also maybe history. For example, in Belgium, we don't have a lot of warehouse parties. Of course, there is Compass and stuff, but because we are not used to, I mean, raving was never forbidden. I mean, we in the 80s when the new beat arrived and stuff, we didn't have to go like Manuel Mala in a meeting point in a car and going in a field when nobody can see you. When in Belgium, everybody can go in a club. It was just the police who didn't know what to do and stopped the party at 8 in the morning or noon in the day after. So we are here in France. I think as you said, you want to be back in the roots in a certain way. So I think it's just, and it's cool to have changes because, people is going to come back to the city, and then going after, people are going to travel to party. People wants to, it's just a different way of consumption.
I think
the
people
night.
are looking for experiences, different experiences. So when it's on a boat, but that can be in a club. If you change the room design of your club, if you have a proper concept, etc. I think people will be interested by that.
There was a time of everybody wanted to go to the Watergate to see the cellar light, and then 10 years after, everybody want to be in the dark in Berghain and nobody can see you. It's just a different. Things are moving just naturally, I think, and it's good that people are opening new clubs, trying new things. I mean, twisting the things, doing things on a Sunday afternoon instead of Saturday night. It's just naturally moving.
And how do you keep that change in your business? How do you keep change happening all the time?
For me, that's the difficulty to each year you have to create a new event, a new festival, and this is a real challenge because 1 year you have maybe, I don't know, 20,000 people, and the year after only 15, and you don't know what, and you have to work to try to create a new fantastic event each year, and that is the difficulty of our work, I think.
How do you do it?
I don't know.
Being creative. It's our work, I think so.
And
but
maybe you change.
Be a bit more precise. Explain us.
It's as Matthew said, at some point you have to live it first. To understand it, you have to live it. So, sure. And after that, you have to try stuff also. You have to experiment. And it's why having a club, and I understand what you said before, but I'm looking to have my own venue, and Matthew too, is the laboratory. For me, when you run a festival, the club, if you have a club in town, it's your laboratory. You can try stuff.
Exactly.
We tried to organize party on Sunday afternoon 4 years ago. It's not in the culture, the French culture at all. In Berlin, that's like that since 15 years or 10, well, I don't know, but anyway, it's normal. In French at all. And so we done it at Le Sucre. For the first years, that was, a mess. We was losing money each Sunday. But we finally keep it, thinking about why that don't work, what can we do, etc. Now it's the best party. I think we are sold out with this party each Sunday since 3 months. So it's cool, and people enjoy it. At the beginning, people say, hey, we party on Saturday, why I go on Sunday? I never try it. I don't want to do it, it's not my code. But at the end, they experiment it, they add, and they become into it, and they feel they are in a new community. And it's what they're looking for. It's the same for the warehouse. They feel they are in a new community, in a new stuff, something fresh, etc., exciting. And at this point, that works.
Brice, what are your secrets to keep the change happening in your different projects?
I think we're just doing, it's the same than the programmation, we're just doing the parties where we want to go ourselves. And when I'm boring to go to my club on a Saturday night, I say, okay, let's do a party on Sunday night. Or if we are tired of, I don't know, that format of parties, we will think about something new. Or first, to have fun ourselves, and we know that people will follow also, because we will defend the project and explain to people why they have to follow us. But creativity, I think, it's just having fun. It just also going in other parties, take some planes, some time to go what is happening in other cities to take some ideas. But if you do that with passion, with fun, you always have the ideas, and you are always creative.
And so, Dehors Brut is the new place. How did you think about it when opening it? What was the concept behind it, and what do you want the experience to be for the audience?
When we took that place, it was nothing. It was just a free field with herbs high like this, and it was looking like nothing. So we wanted to keep it like a place to look like nothing. That's why the communication was, it's not a club, it's not a warehouse, it's not a festival. We wanted to do all that in the same time, and that's what it is. It's a kind of festival, but open every weekend. There is an identity in the programmation who looks like a club. We are inviting a lot of promoters, some warehouse promoters also, and yeah, the idea was to do something a bit fresh, and that we never saw in Paris before, without I don't tell it like that with pretension, but we try to do something to offer something new to people.
And how did the public react to this?
Crazy. It was like the August month before we have to close in September was crazy. We had like most of the parties, we have like 3,500 people or 4,000 sometimes, and it was with programmation with most of the time half of the lineup were French artists. It was not we almost didn't have any very expensive artists. The music was super underground. We put a lot of girls also on the lineup, and it was super easy to make people come in the club because it was new, and the model was different.
And going to Nuit Sonore, what are the latest concepts that worked, and how did the public react? And are you surprised by the reaction of the French public or international public? I don't know what's the amount of...
The amount of, just to answer to this question, we have around 30% of international crowd, and on the 70% of French people, it's half Rhône-Alpes, the region around Lyon, and half the rest of the France. So we are not so international. Basically, because we start on Wednesday, half of the festival is during working weeks, so international crowd come only for the weekend. For the rest, I think the best proof of concept we have these last years was a day with. A day with is the program we started 5 years ago. The concept was pretty easy. Proposed to an artist, which is symbolic in the electronic music history, to curate the full festival. That's the specific point. That was not just creating a stage, that was creating a full day of the festival on 3 stages with a proper line of direction, like one stage dedicated to live and experimental show, one stage more big room, and one stage dedicated to sound system and digging culture. We done it with the main acts from Jamie XX to Ben Clark, Laurent Garnier, etc. And now this concept is really, really super strong. It's funny because the name of the festival is Nuit Sonore, so sound night. And now the most successful party of the festival is the daytime. We are always sold out in advance, etc. And it's pretty funny because this proof of concept, that was a big challenge for us to make the crowd moving on the daytime. And it's also a question of safety, etc. regarding drugs problem, etc. That was easier for us to manage a crowd for techno music during daytime, to be totally honest. And that was a big challenge, but with this concept, people really follow more, I mean, underground and unknown artists. Why? Because if me, Baptiste Pinsard, a programming listener, say, hey, PTU, it's an upcoming band from Russia, it's really good, come on. Nobody come. But when Nina Kravitz say, hey guy, it's PTU, it's a little band from Russia, come on, it's full. So, it's how we work. And it's, for me, the best proof of concept we done those last year. Next year, we work on a new big project, which is more linked with our forum, because we have a forum, more thinking about stuff with talk, etc., about democracy, etc., etc. And we will try to make something, a dance event linked to this think stuff, social stuff, etc. So that's the next project.
Jean, if we can continue with you, what are the latest concepts or different formats you created for the audience and how they reacted to it?
Yeah, the Panorama Festival takes place in a small city, so it's not like Lyon. It's impossible for us. Lyon, pardon, Lyon. Sorry. See, it's impossible to imagine something since the Wednesday to the Sunday. Impossible. The last thing we try to do is to surprise people with a secret show in secret place with secret artists, like Les Nuits Secrètes in Aulnoy-Emery, north of France, organized since 15 years, and we try to do that in our festival. It's the new thing.
And how did people like it?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, a success. It's always full, and we saw that we program a lot of electronic artists and hip hop artists, and we see that when we program a folk band or indie band, it works very well too. So I think we are going to organize more other scenes like that.
Yeah, maybe in Marseille. I see two things that we did in the last 3 years, which is it's good because it's evolved. It makes the festival evolve. It's added a day on the beach, the Sunday, so that means it's break a bit the rules, as you said. So now Mars Attack, it's not only 2 nights; it's 2 nights plus 1 day on the beach when you can go in the sea and come back and dance on the Nisulta or Campire or whatever. And the other thing is that we imagined a crew of young local rappers with it's called La Frappe, and it's all year long. It's we do workshops and stuff with them. It's the godfather of that is Faf Larage, which is an old famous French rapper. And he's the guy who follow these young people, and they play at the festival after all. I mean, there's a selection and stuff, and then they can play on the festival. It was 16 MCs this year. That's a cool thing also, just not to base your festival on having this big headliner. It's something else. We have a day at the beach. We have these small guys who can rap somewhere else than in the streets, and that's good, I think.
Okay, thank you. So we are going to have time for a few questions, but before that, I'd like to go around once more and ask each one of you if you had one industry tip to work with clubs and festivals in France, especially we're in Amsterdam. We have people from all over Europe. How would you, what would be your tip to give them if they want to work with French and club festivals? Brice.
To come in Paris. Simply to come to, but especially in our club, we are always here in the DJ booth to dance, so we are easy to reach. You just have to come. I will be there behind the DJ with the.
So the direct line is behind the DJ booth.
Yeah, not always. I'm also on the dance floor. Don't worry. But yeah, come to see us.
I really don't know. No, seriously, as I think French crowd as international crowd, for me it's the same. Global market, we can't say more that there are a French market specific as you say before. And to reach, if the question is how to reach a booker, yes, it's not so easy, but the best is develop your own activities, trust into it, connect with other artists. Your job is to be an artist, so do it, connect with other people doing the same thing. And when the music will, we try to listen to music all the day. So if we like something, even if it's not well known, we will find a slot for it. So, yeah.
a mail, phone. I think we are easy to catch, so.
Easy to reach?
Yes, I think so. Not
we
you.
answer to email, etc.
And how do you get to Marseille?
Yeah, come to Marseille. It's good. Take your swimsuit. Let's go. Let's go together to the beach.
Swimsuit and pasties.
Exactly.
So do we have any questions in the audience?
Can you talk a little bit, if you're trying to do something which the public might find to be a little revolutionary, let's say the Sunday afternoon parties, and people just aren't really catching on to it, whether it's a specific example or more broad, what have you done in the past when you want to do something and the public just kind of isn't running with that shit?
It's not proper changes, I think. It's just what we're trying to say. It's to twist people, to say, okay, for example, Dour, the festival I'm doing in Belgium, we like when people come to see drum and bass, and they spend the whole day during a rock at the rock tent, for example. That makes a good thing because they were coming for something, and then they crashed at something else and discover something. And what we want to do is just to break the rules. And of course, you have to work with the city and the legal things. You have, I don't know, in Paris, you have to close maybe at 6 in the morning, or I don't know. You have to deal with that.
Not us.
Yeah, I know you.
24-hour license.
Only one.
That's good. And but that's that. We like when you. Of course, you failed sometimes, and but just as Baptiste said, just keep trying and try to change the mentality of the people of what they are used to. Just try to make something else.
And see, as you said before, think about what you're looking for. At the moment, I'm looking for. I became tired about big crowd, big party, 2,000, 3,000 people every time. Hey, it's massive now. All the festivals are so massive. All the clubs are so massive. So the last thing we done at Le Sucre, it was to just cap the capacity, half. So it's supposed to be 800 people. We done party for 400 people. It's not just the same club for 400 people, no. We build a proper club in the middle of the club, which is a little box where people have to come down, the DJs on the floor. We have a typical scenography to propose a specific experience. The idea comes just from what I'm looking for, what my friends are looking for when I talk to people who are not into the business. What are their dream, what they want to experience. So, yeah, just trying that. I will put a dub sound system, a roots dub sound system in the club for the first time. We announced it 1 week ago. The reaction of the crowd was crazy. It's not about the artist, it's about the experiences they will have. So, yeah.
Did we answer your question? Yeah. Anybody else? That's, yeah.
Basically, for all the speakers, one question. Yeah, basically it's music. It's a festival of music. Do you use some visual effects? Maybe some visual installations, temporary video shows, something, LED shows in the festival, some impression?
On the festival, we did a lot of VJing, of visual installation, but it's not the rule all the time. I think you can create an atmosphere without visual. You can create an atmosphere in the total dark if you want, and if you use visual, you have to use it in a good way and with a good connection also with the music you offer. But I think most of the festival now are using VJ because it's like the normal rule to do that.
And the artist also creates more and more a show which is linked with light or video or installation in any kind. So yeah, but yeah, at Nuisana a lot. Since the beginning, that was one of the key points of your artistic direction, keeping a real program, artistic program about room design, scenography, video, etc. So yes, it's definitely a part of your DNA, and we do less and less at the same point, all the other festivals do more and more, but we do less and less, especially because the band come with the show now, and cool shows, so why to interact with it when they come with a proper project and a specific atmosphere?
Yeah, for us too. There's two things we are trying to make some installations, but without visuals. I mean, when you arrive, there's a tower. For example, this year at Mars Attacks was they imagined a team, and a theme this year was the tuning. So when you arrived, you had a lot of old cars, and so that makes a kind of a small experience. There was a stage where all the car sound were playing, and it was, but it's not proper visuals. It's more a whole setup when you, and we have screens and VJs to play on it, but no proper audio installation.
And sometimes you have, of course, the stages and use the videos, but we try to organize, for example, a good camping. It's silly to say that, but for a good restoration also, and all the other things. Of course, you come on a festival for the music, but all the other things are very, very important, and we work a lot on that every year.
Okay, that's all the time we have. Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Merci les gars, je me casse comme je disais, parce que si vous êtes